80s, Hong Kong. Chen Luojun, an illegal immigrant who has arrived in the city, tries to earn money to buy the ID, but when he collects enough, he is ditched by the local mafia boss. In the heat of the moment, Luojun grabs his bag of drugs and escapes to Kowloon, where the powerful gangster Long Wanfeng is in charge. Wanfeng takes the guy in and lets him stay, but Luojun has a skeleton in his closet that will draw the Hong Kong gangs into a full-scale war. Everything new is the well-forgotten old, and in movies this principle works like nowhere else. Young filmmakers begin their journey by climbing the ladder of the gigantic legacy their predecessors left for them, and willy-nilly, but build their movies from the bricks that were created before them. Director Soi Cheang is no longer young, he is over 50 and started his way in the 90s, but Twilight of the Warriors looks and feels like a compilation of the best hits of the Hong Kong film industry, not the least bit original as a sum of its part, but as a whole distinctive and refreshing enough to become a big commercial hit. In Hong Kong, the film took second place in the list of the highest-grossing films in history. This movie is based on the novel City of Darkness, on which the comic book was also drawn. The first news about the film adaptation appeared in the noughties. At some point it was believed that the key role in the future film will play Donnie Yen, but in the end he left the project. If you look at the plot, it may seem like a variation on Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York, but the strength of Twilight of the Warriors is that it mixes so many things that the authors end up with something unique and their own. Just as Hong Kong itself once became a haven for migrants, who built the city to what it is today, so is Twilight of the Warriors is based on some very familiar moves and images. For example, at times we remember John Woo's action films, also based on motifs of honor and brotherhood. The visual aesthetics is permeated with the rough romance of the urban slums of Ringo Lam. Somewhere we remember bodyguards and assassins, somewhere, Call of Heroes, and in the final part Twilight of the Warriors suddenly turns into a bizarre cross between a revived comic book and a very old-fashioned chop-socky kung fu action from the 70s, in which the heroes tried to defeat a seemingly invulnerable supervillain. None of this is new, but it's cleverly tied together into a strong plot that holds together not on twists, but on emotions and vivid moral dilemmas that allow you to better connect to the main characters. Twilight of the Warriors cost 300 million Hong Kong dollars to produce. That's just under 40 million American dollars, which may not seem like a large sum by Western or even mainland standards, but is absolutely unthinkable money for modern Hong Kong, whose own film industry is living out its last days, slowly merging into the all-Chinese one. Apparently, most of that money went into the setting of Kowloon, the high-rise labyrinthine city that existed in Hong Kong until 1993. Its cramped and multi-layered architecture is skillfully used by action choreographer Kenji Tanigaki and cameraman Cheng Shu-kung, though lovers of down-to-earth realistic hand-to-hand fights will still have to grit their teeth in some places. The authors often use for action wires and even computer graphics, so the spectacularity of fight scenes here is, let's say, with a catch. The casting is not quite unambiguous. It's great that for the role of one of the villains the authors managed to get Sammo Hung, a true legend of kung fu cinema, who is already at such an advanced age that here, probably, performed his last fighting role. Philip Ng is good as his sleazy sidekick. Louis Koo looks cool as the stern but fair Long, but it's harder for authors to sell him as a kung fu master. However, the hardest thing to accept is Raymond Lam as Luo Jun, a 44-year-old veteran of Chinese cinema, which was not particularly often seen in combat roles before, doesn't look like the ardent young man. In the story his character is about half the age of Lam, and it cannot help but catch the eye. Nevertheless, as a whole, Twilight of the Warriors is still a great success for Hong Kong cinema. No, this movie can't be called unequivocally the best of what has been filmed in the city in the last couple of decades, but it's done with heart and, how can I put it, right. It is not enough just to write a script and shoot what it says. A good director will add something of himself, his love for this genre, for this time, for these images, for this heritage in general, breathe it all into his characters and infect the audience with his nostalgia. And Twilight of the Warriors has all of that.